You have been lied to about the most powerful chemical in your brain. Every self-help guru, every YouTube productivity expert, and every mindfulness coach is telling you the same thing. You are addicted to dopamine. You need a dopamine detox. You need to sit in a dark room, stare at a wall, eat rice, and be bored for 24 hours to reset your brain. They tell you that dopamine is the enemy. They tell you that dopamine is the demon that causes your procrastination, your addiction, and your misery. I'm here to tell you that this is biological blasphemy. Telling a man he needs to reduce his dopamine is like telling a Ferrari it needs to reduce its gasoline. Dopamine is not the enemy. Dopamine is the engine. Without dopamine, you are not zen. You are not peaceful. Without dopamine, you are dead. If I surgically removed the dopamine receptors from your brain right now, you would not become a monk. You would become a statue. You would sit in your chair, thirsty, with a glass of water right in front of you, and you would die of dehydration. Why? Because you would lack the motivation to lift your arm. This is what happens in extreme Parkinson's disease. The dopamine neurons die. The person wants to move, but they cannot initiate the action. They are trapped in a frozen body. So when a guru tells you to fast from dopamine, he is telling you to induce a temporary state of Parkinson's. He is telling you to chemically castrate your ambition. We are not here to be monks. We are here to be hunters. And a hunter needs high dopaminergic drive. A hunter needs to be obsessed. A hunter needs to be restless. A hunter needs the chemical fire that screams, "Go get it." Let's correct the definition. Pop culture calls dopamine the pleasure molecule. This is false. Neuroscience tells us that dopamine is the molecule of pursuit. It is not released when you eat the steak. It is released when you smell the steak and start hunting the buffalo. It is the chemical of craving, not liking. Pleasure is handled by the opioid system, endorphins. Pursuit is handled by the dopaminergic system. Evolution designed this system for one specific purpose: to make you move. For millions of years, energy was expensive. Moving burned calories. Why would an organism spend precious calories to run, fight, or build? Because dopamine lied to it. Dopamine whispered to your ancestor, "If you kill that mammoth, it will feel amazing. It will be the best feeling of your life. Go do it. Risk your life." So your ancestor ran. He fought. He killed. And when he ate the meat, it felt good, but the dopamine quickly crashed. Why? So he would get hungry again. So he would hunt again tomorrow. If the dopamine lasted forever, he would eat once and then sit under a tree until he died. Dopamine is designed to be a dissatisfaction engine. It is designed to make you want more. This is why billionaires don't retire. They have billions of dollars, but their dopamine circuits are screaming, "Build another one, conquer another market." Society calls this greed. Biology calls this survival drive. You do not want to kill this drive. You want to harness it. The problem with the dopamine detox narrative is that it treats the symptom, not the disease. The problem is not that you have too much dopamine. The problem is the source of the dopamine. You are getting your dopamine from cheap sources, consumption, instead of expensive sources, creation. When you scroll TikTok, watch porn, or eat sugar, you are hacking the reward system. You are getting the biological reward for a hunt you did not perform. TikTok is a digital berry bush that never runs out of berries. Porn is a digital harem that requires no social status to access. Sugar is a calorie jackpot that requires no foraging. Your brain thinks you are the most successful hunter in history. Look at all this food. Look at all these mates. Look at all this novelty. So it floods you with dopamine. But because you didn't work for it, the circuit breaks. You get the reward without the effort. This causes downregulation. Your brain says, "Whoa, this is too much loud noise. Turn down the volume." It burns off your receptors. You become numb. So you need more stimulation just to feel normal. This is the trap. But the solution is not to stop wanting dopamine. The solution is to force your brain to get its dopamine from hard work. You need to rewire the circuit so that the only time you get the hit is when you kill something, when you finish the video, when you close the deal, when you lift the weight. You need to switch from cheap dopamine to expensive dopamine. Think of the monk versus the warrior. The dopamine detox is designed for the monk. The goal of the monk is to withdraw from the world, to eliminate desire, to find peace in nothingness. If your goal is to sit in a cave and chant, then yes, do a dopamine detox. Kill your drive. Be happy with a bowl of rice. But you are not a monk. You are a warrior. You are a builder. You are a capitalist. Your goal is not peace. Your goal is conquest. Your goal is to change reality, to build empires, to accumulate resources. To do this, you need desire. You need obsession. You need a brain that is vibrating with energy. Imagine Genghis Khan doing a dopamine detox. "Oh, I shouldn't conquer China today. I need to sit in my yurt and be mindful." No. Genghis Khan had a massive dopaminergic drive. He wanted everything. And because he wanted everything, he achieved the impossible. Do not let the wellness industry turn you into a gelding. They want you calm, sedated, and mediocre. They want you to be happy with less. I want you to be unhappy until you have more. That unhappiness is your fuel. Let's analyze the binge purge cycle. What happens when you do a standard dopamine detox? You turn off your phone for 24 hours. You suffer. You feel clean. Then the 24 hours are up. What do? You binge. You eat the pizza. You scroll for 5 hours. You relapse. Why? Because you created a deficit. Your brain was screaming for fuel and you starved it. When you finally let it eat, it gorged itself to prepare for the next famine. This is the same reason why crash diets don't work. If you starve yourself, your body lowers its metabolism and then stores fat the moment you eat. A dopamine fast is a crash diet for your brain. It is unsustainable. It is torture. And it leads to a rebound effect that leaves you worse off than before. We are not trying to starve the brain. We are trying to change the diet. We want to feed the brain steak, achievement, instead of candy, distraction. If you are full of steak, you don't crave candy. If you are getting massive dopamine hits from your business growth, from your gym progress, from your creative flow, you naturally stop caring about TikTok. TikTok becomes boring. Why would you want to watch someone else live a cool life? Cheap dopamine. When you are living a cool life yourself. Expensive dopamine. The goal is to make your real life so high definition, so exciting, and so rewarding that the digital world looks pale in comparison. This brings us to the concept of dopaminergic tone. Some people are born with low dopamine baselines. They are lethargic, unmotivated, depressive. Some people are born with high dopamine baselines. They are energetic, charismatic, ambitious. But this is not fixed. You can change your baseline. However, the detox lowers your baseline. It makes you flat. We want to raise the baseline. We want you to wake up in the morning and feel like a tiger let out of a cage. We want you to have so much energy that you have to work just to burn it off. This state is called the hunter's trance. When a hunter is tracking prey, he is not bored. He is not distracted. He is in a state of hyper-focus. He ignores the mosquito bites. He ignores the hunger. He ignores the fatigue. All he sees is the target. This is the state of flow. Flow is not a state of low dopamine. Flow is a state of massive dopamine release. It is a cocktail of norepinephrine, focus, dopamine, pursuit, and anandamide, bliss. The detox gurus are telling you to avoid the very chemical that creates flow. They are insane. They are teaching you how to be a vegetable. I'm teaching you how to be a predator. So how do we make the switch? How do we stop being a junkie and start being a hunter? It requires a fundamental shift in how you view pain. The junkie runs from pain. He uses dopamine to numb the pain of existence. The hunter runs towards pain. He uses dopamine as the reward for overcoming pain. You have to reassociate the release. Right now, your brain wires. Phone, good. Work, bad. We need to wire. Phone, boring. Work, thrilling. This is not magic. It is neuroplasticity, and it doesn't happen by sitting in a dark room. It happens by engaging in high-friction activities. You have to force the system to run on high gears. If you drive a car slowly for 10 years, the engine gets clogged with carbon deposits. If you take that car to the Autobahn and drive it at 150 mph, you burn out the carbon. The engine cleans itself through intensity. You need to redline your engine. You need more intensity, not less. You need a challenge so big, so scary, and so demanding that TikTok feels like a joke. You don't need a detox. You need a mission. In the next part, we are going to talk about the cheap versus expensive protocol. We are going to define exactly what counts as junk food for the brain and what counts as superfood. And I'm going to show you how to use your offer, 260, as the ultimate tool to force this switch. Because nothing releases dopamine like seeing a notification that says, you made a sale. That is the drug we are chasing. That is the drug that builds empires. We have established that you need dopamine to hunt, but not all dopamine is created equal. In the brain, the molecule is the same, CHH11O2, but the pathway determines the effect. We need to distinguish between cheap dopamine and expensive dopamine. Cheap dopamine is low friction. It requires zero effort. You open your phone, you see a flashing light, you get a hit. You eat a donut, you get a hit. This dopamine floods the system instantly and crashes instantly. It leaves you feeling empty, anxious, and ashamed. It is empty calories for the soul. Expensive dopamine is high friction. It requires pain. You have to lift the heavy weight before you get the feeling of power. You have to write the code before the program works. You have to make the sales call before you get the money. This dopamine releases slowly. It is sustained. It is accompanied by serotonin, satisfaction, and testosterone, dominance. It leaves you feeling proud, calm, and powerful. The goal of the apex male is not to reduce dopamine. It is to eliminate cheap dopamine and maximize expensive dopamine. You are not a monk fasting. You are a connoisseur. You only consume the highest quality product. Let's talk about the friction filter. Your brain values things based on how much energy it took to acquire them. If you get a reward for free, your brain tags it as trash. binge. If you scroll TikTok for 3 hours, your brain knows you did nothing. It knows you are a loser. So it gives you the chemical depression that follows a binge. But if you work on your business for 3 hours and you get one sale, your brain tags that as gold. Why? Because you paid for it with friction. You paid with focus. You paid with stress. The friction makes the reward taste sweet. The dopamine detox is a lie because it tries to remove the reward entirely. The correct strategy is to increase the friction. If you want the dopamine of success, you must pay the price of work. You have to wire your brain to love the friction itself. Dr. Andrew Huberman talks about subjective reward. You can actually train your brain to release dopamine during the painful activity. You tell yourself, this pain is the signal that I'm growing. This stress is the feeling of the weakness leaving my body. When you do this, you become a perpetual motion machine. The work itself fuels the next hour of work. You don't need motivation to start. The activity generates its own fuel. This brings us to the gamification of reality. Why are video games so addictive? Because they have perfect feedback loops. You kill a monster, you get XP, you get gold, you level up. The connection between action and reward is visible and immediate. Real life is often messy. You work hard and nothing happens for 6 months. This delay kills your motivation. To fix this, you need to gamify your life. You need to build a system where your actions in the real world give you immediate feedback. This is where the $260 protocol comes in. I'm not just selling you information, I'm selling you a game engine. My protocol teaches you how to set up the dashboards, the analytics, and the notifications that turn business into high-stakes gaming. When you have the protocol, you are not just working, you are watching the numbers move. You are seeing the click-through rate, CTR, spike because you optimize the thumbnail, dopamine hit. You are seeing the subscriber count tick up because you fix the hook, dopamine hit. And the ultimate drug, the Stripe notification. Cha-ching, you made a sale. I want you to pause and imagine that feeling. Compare the feeling of watching a stranger dance on TikTok to the feeling of seeing $260 hit your bank account because of a system you built. They are not the same universe. The TikTok hit is hollow. It makes you weaker. The Stripe hit is nuclear. It makes you a king. It validates your existence. It proves you are competent. It proves you are a hunter who can kill. Once you taste that dopamine, you will never want the cheap stuff again. You will look at a video game and say, why would I grind for fake gold when I can grind for real gold? You will look at porn and say, why would I watch other people when I can build the status to attract real mates? The protocol is the cure for addiction because it offers a better drug. It offers the drug of sovereignty. Let's dismantle the boredom myth. Gurus tell you, embrace boredom. Boredom is where creativity is born. This is half true, but mostly dangerous. Boredom is painful. It is a signal from your brain that you are wasting your potential. A lion sitting in a cage is bored. A lion hunting is not bored. We don't want you to be bored. We want you to be engaged, but we want you engaged in the right things. When you remove the cheap stimulation, phone, junk food, you create a vacuum. The detox leaves the vacuum empty. That is torture. The protocol fills the vacuum with mission. When you wake up and you know exactly what to do because you have the map. When you know that writing this script or editing this video directly contributes to your freedom fortress, you are not bored. You are on fire. You replace distraction with traction. Distraction pulls you apart. Traction pulls you forward. The $260 is the price of the traction. It is the price of knowing exactly where to direct your laser beam. Without the map, you spin in circles. Spinning causes nausea, anxiety. With the map, you march in a straight line. Marching causes confidence. We need to talk about the biology of winning. There is a biological phenomenon called the winner effect. When two animals fight, the winner gets a surge of testosterone and dopamine. This changes his brain structure. It makes him more likely to win the next fight. The loser gets a surge of cortisol. It shrinks his brain. It makes him more likely to lose the next fight. Most of you are in a loser spiral. You consume cheap dopamine. You accomplish nothing. You feel shame. You consume more cheap dopamine to numb the shame. You are training your brain to be a loser. We need to reverse the spiral. We need one small win. This is why the protocol is designed for speed. I want you to get that first view, that first subscriber, that first dollar. Because the moment you get that first micro win, the chemistry changes. The winner effect kicks in. Your posture changes. Your voice changes. You feel, I can do this. Then you attack the next task with more power. You enter the winner spiral. Suddenly, working 12 hours a day doesn't feel hard. It feels inevitable. You are riding the wave of your own neurochemistry, but you need the spark to start the fire. The protocol is the flint and steel. You can try to rub two sticks together, figure it out yourself, for 5 years. Or you can pay $260 for the lighter. Which one is the smarter biological choice? The critics will say, you are just trading one addiction addiction for another. You are addicted to work. You are addicted to money. Yes. And what is the alternative? Being addicted to nothing, being a vegetable, or being addicted to failure. Choose your addiction. Everyone is addicted to something. The brain needs a fixation. I'm offering you a productive addiction. I'm offering you an addiction that builds wealth, builds character, and builds freedom. An addiction that feeds your family instead of starving your soul. Don't let the mediocre people shame you for your drive. They call it workaholism. We call it flow. They call it obsession. We call it greatness. The lion is addicted to the hunt. The eagle is addicted to the sky. You are a human being. You are designed to build. Stop fighting your nature. Feed the beast, but feed it the good stuff. Feed it the expensive dopamine of victory. In the next part, we are going to discuss the identity shift. How to stop seeing yourself as a consumer, a mouth that eats, and start seeing yourself as a producer, a hand that builds. We will talk about how to kill the co-zeromer brain forever, and how the offer, $260, is the initiation fee into the class of producers. There is a biological entity called the sea squirt, tunicate. When it is young, it is a larva. It swims through the ocean. It has a spinal cord. It has a primitive eye. It has a brain. It needs these things to navigate, to hunt, and to find a home. But once it finds a suitable rock, it attaches itself. It becomes stationary. It stops moving. And then it does something horrifying. It eats its own brain. It digests its own nervous system because it no longer needs it. It has become a filter feeder. It just sits there, mouth open, absorbing nutrients from the water. Maintaining a brain is expensive energy, so nature removes it. Look around you. Look at the people on the subway. Look at your friends on the couch. They are sea squirts. They have attached themselves to the rock of comfort. They have opened their mouths to the nutrient stream of the algorithm. TikTok, Netflix, news. And because they are no longer hunting, because they are no longer moving through the chaos of reality to build something, their brains are dissolving. This is not a metaphor. This is atrophy. When you spend 10 hours a day consuming content created by others, you are training your brain to be a receiver, not a transmitter. You are a pipe. Data goes in your eyes and comes out your emotional center as anxiety. You create nothing. You change nothing. You are simply processing the waste of the internet. We need to discuss the consumer versus producer divide. This is the only class war that matters. It is not rich versus poor. It is output versus input. The consumer is a biological dead end. He is a dopamine junkie. He relies on external stimuli to feel normal. If the Wi-Fi goes out, he panics. If the show is cancelled, he is depressed. He has no internal generator. He is a slave to the feed. Notice the word, feed, like cattle. You are being fed. The producer is a god in training. He looks at the blank screen and does not see boredom. He sees a canvas. He gets his dopamine from imposing his will on reality. When you write a line of code, when you edit a video, when you build a product, you are taking the chaos of the universe and organizing it into order. This triggers the deepest, most ancient circuits in the human brain. We are tool users. We are world builders. Our hands were not evolved to scroll. They were evolved to grip, to hammer, to shape. When you deny your hands their purpose, your brain rots. You feel this rot, don't you? It feels like brain fog. It feels like a heaviness behind your eyes. That is the feeling of input overload. You are stuffing yourself with information, but you are not digesting it. You are constipated with data. The cure is not a detox, starvation. The cure is output. You need to vomit the data out in the form of creation. The moment you switch from watching to making, the fog clears. Why? Because your brain switches modes. It switches from passive absorption, alpha waves, hypnotic state, to active focus, beta, gamma waves. You wake up. The sea squirt regrows its brain because it needs to solve problems again. Let's analyze the 1% rule of the internet. On any given platform, 1% of users create the content. 9% engage with it, comment, share. 90% just lurk, consume. The 1% control the reality of the 99%. The 1% make all the money. The 1% set the trends. The 1% determine what the 99% talk about at the dinner table. Which group are you in? Be honest. If you are watching this video and nodding, but you haven't uploaded a video, written a post, or built a product in the last 24 hours, you are the 99%. You are the cattle. The dopamine detox gurus tell you to just stop being cattle. They tell you to stand in the field and eat nothing. That is impossible. You need to become the farmer. You need to cross the line. This crossing is painful. It is called the resistance. Stephen Pressfield wrote about this. The moment you sit down to create, you feel fear. You feel doubt. You feel a sudden urge to clean your room or check your phone. This is your consumer brain fighting for its life. It wants to be fed. It doesn't want to work. It screams, "Who are you to create? You are not an expert. You are a fraud. Just watch one more video to research." Research is the consumer's favorite lie. "I'm learning." No, you are procrastinating. You don't learn by watching. You learn by doing. You learn by failing. The producer is willing to look stupid. The consumer is terrified of looking stupid, so he does nothing. We must adopt the 90-10 ratio. This is the golden rule of the apex male. Output must exceed input by a factor of 9 to 1. For every 1 hour of content you consume, you must produce 9 hours of work. If you watch a 10-minute tutorial, you must spend 90 minutes applying it. If you read a book for an hour, you must spend 9 hours executing the ideas. This forces you to be selective. If you know you have to pay for every hour of consumption with 9 hours of labor, you stop watching trash. You stop watching cat videos. You stop watching drama because you cannot afford the tax. You only consume high-octane fuel, information that directly helps you build. You become a carnivore of information. You hunt for the specific answer to your specific problem. You eat it, and then you go back to work. You stop grazing on the timeline. This shift changes your identity. You stop saying, "I'm a guy who likes video games." You start saying, "I'm a game developer." You stop saying, "I watch YouTube." You start saying, "I'm a YouTuber." The difference is not the subscriber count. The difference is the direction of the flow. Are you the mouth or are you the hand? The mouth is always hungry. The hand is always full. When you become a producer, you realize that boredom is impossible. There is always something to fix, always something to improve. You look at the world and you see raw materials. A consumer sees a movie and says, "That was fun." A producer sees a movie and says, "How did they do that lighting? What was the story structure? How can I use that in my next video?" You are constantly deconstructing reality to steal its secrets. This is the most engaging, high dopamine way to live. It turns the entire world into a puzzle that you are solving. Now I will be brief about the tool. To make this shift, you need a blueprint. You need to know what to produce. Most people stay consumers because they don't know the first step of production. They are paralyzed by the blank page. The $260 protocol is simply the cheat sheet for producers. It gives you the templates, the systems, and the checklists so you never have to face the blank page. It removes the friction of starting so you can get straight to the building. That's it. It's a tool. Use it or don't, but you must build. Let's talk about the God complex in a positive sense. When you create something that didn't exist before, a business, a video, a piece of code, you are mimicking the act of creation. You are bringing order out of chaos. This gives you a feeling of agency. Most depression comes from a lack of agency. You feel like life is happening to you. You are a passenger. When you produce, you are the driver. You realize, I can change my reality. If I'm broke, I can build a product and sell it. If I'm lonely, I can build a community. You stop being a victim of circumstance. You become a force of nature. The dopaminergic hit you get from looking at your own creation is the cleanest high in the universe. It is not spike and crash. It is a slow, warm burn of competence. I made this. 3 words that heal the soul. Compare that to, I watched this. I watched this is the epitaph of a wasted life. I made this is the legacy of a king. So here is your challenge for today. Not a detox. I don't want you to turn off your phone and sit in the dark. I want you to create something, anything. Write a script, edit a video, build a landing page, lift a weight. Do something that leaves a mark on the physical world. Do not go to sleep until you have produced more than you have consumed. Force your brain to switch gears. It will hurt at first. The gears are rusty. The sea squirt wants to stay on the rock. Tear yourself off the rock. Swim, hunt, build. The ocean is yours, but only if you move. You have stopped the consumption. You have accepted your role as a producer. Now you are facing the final boss, the withdrawal. When you stop feeding your brain cheap dopamine, it will panic. You will feel anxious. You will feel restless. You will feel a phantom vibration in your pocket. The wellness gurus tell you to breathe through it. They tell you to meditate until it goes away. I'm telling you to use it. This feeling of restlessness is not a symptom. It is energy. It is your engine revving in neutral. If you leave it in neutral, it burns the engine. Anxiety. If you put it in gear, it moves the car. Drive. This is the alchemy of drive. You must take that physical sensation of, I need to check my phone, and mentally relabel it as, I need to conquer. Don't calm down. Speed up. When the urge to scroll hits, that is your cue to sprint. That is your cue to write the email faster, to lift the weight heavier, to attack the problem harder. You are transmuting the withdrawal into aggression. You are turning the need for distraction into the need for domination. This is how the apex predator operates. When a wolf is hungry, he doesn't meditate to make the hunger go away. He uses the hunger to sharpen his senses. Your boredom is modern hunger. It is your biology screaming at you that you are understimulated, but instead of stimulating it with a glowing screen, which is fake, stimulate it with complex problem solving, which is real. The brain loves complexity. It loves a challenge. Give it a problem so hard that it has to drop the anxiety to focus. This is why my protocol 260 works. It gives you a problem, building a business, that is complex enough to fully engage your hunter instincts, but you don't need to buy it to start. You just need to pick a problem and attack it. Now, let's talk about monetizing the energy. Energy that is not directed is wasted. You have this new fire in your belly. Where do you point the flamethrower? You point it at assets. An asset is anything that works while you sleep. A video is an asset. A code base is an asset. An email list is an asset. Every time you feel the urge to consume, you must lay one brick on your asset. Just one brick. Write one sentence. Film one clip, send one DM. If you do this every time you feel the twitch, you will build a skyscraper in a year. Most people use their energy to heat their house, comfort. You must use your energy to build a power plant, wealth. The consumer spends energy to feel good now. The producer invests energy to feel powerful forever. We are coming to the end. This video is almost over, and this is the most dangerous moment, because right now you feel motivated, you feel understood, you feel ready, but in 30 seconds the video will end, and the YouTube algorithm will try to play the next video. It will try to pull you back into the feed. It will try to turn you back into a C-squirt. If you click the next video, you lose. If you watch just one more, you admit that you are a slave. You admit that your dopamine receptors are owned by Google, not by you. This is the test. This is the separation between the 99% and the 1%. So I'm going to give you the kick. In the movie Inception, the kick is the jolt that wakes you up from the dream. You have been dreaming. You have been sleepwalking through your life, anesthetized by cheap dopamine. It is time to wake up. I'm going to give you a specific physical command. Do not think about it. Do not negotiate with it. Just do it. The command. When this screen goes black, you will not scroll. You will not check comments. You will not look at the sidebar. You will physically stand up from your chair. You will walk to the window and look at the real world for 10 seconds. And then you will sit down and do one real thing. You will write 100 words. You will do 20 push-ups. You will fix one bug, one real action in the physical universe. Break the loop. Prove to your biology that you are in charge. Prove that you are a hunter. The screen is about to go black. The dream is over. The hunt begins. Stand up.